I think the best thing that Catholics can do to engage and to learn and to understand would be to get in contact and get in touch with Indigenous people and to ask them questions. There is sometimes resistance that will be met, where people might say, I'm not going to teach you about it, you have to learn yourself. I don't think that's necessarily a way of going forward so much. I think being able to speak with each other, to actually say words to each other, to be able to sit and listen back is extremely important. There's a value to communication back and forth where we can sit down patiently with each other to learn. So that verbal communication and listening between each other is extremely important. And yes, there are many resources and documentaries and books and things out there that people can listen to, read, and watch, but that definitely doesn't take the place of sitting with someone and speaking face to face to them, hearing their stories, hearing where they think healing can happen and what needs to be done, and kind of untangling things that wouldn't be as much value as to things that would be very valuable in going forward. Yes, there's absolutely a place for Indigenous youth and young adults in the church. I think they are our next generation. They are what's going to help us to continue to walk forward towards reconciliation, towards healing. And the more that we can continue to teach them the values and traditions that we have, the more that they can learn and the more that they can teach us as well, and continue to teach the next generations, and in a continuing chain throughout time. The tragedy of the Indian residential schools has had a wide impact across this nation. For me personally, seeing the revelations of these graves that have been uncovered and hearing about the stories that have come out of this, this isn't anything that's new to the Indigenous people. This is something that we've known about for so long now, and I think the fact that there's this evidence now that is coming out has had a larger impact on our nation and the people who are learning about it. There's a great sadness that we feel, and a great grief and mourning and loss. There's going to take time to grieve. It's going to take a time of patience, and it might take quite a while. I think it is a good thing. There is good that comes from this, though. I think many of the tragedies that have happened to the Indigenous population in Canada in particular, it's something that's been almost covered up, like there's a bandage that's covered up, and then we're just hoping that it heals on its own. But we know that we can't just have something covered and expect it to heal. We need to be able to take off that bandage and let light and air get to that to have proper healing. And I think the revelation of the Indian residential schools and what has happened is almost like this bandage that's being taken off. And it can be really hard to look at. And it's going to take time for healing to happen. But now that it's uncovered, that's when we can actually start to see healing. So there is a lot of hope that comes from this as well throughout this tragedy.